This is not a legend. This is history. This is the story of a war fought in the Arabian deserts known as the War of Basus, Harb al-Basus, a tale of pride, honor, arrogance, and endless revenge. The story begins in the age of ignorance, Jahiliyyah, a time when the sword was the law and tribal honor meant everything. Banu Bakr and Banu Taglib were two cousin tribes who lived like brothers. The leader of Banu Taglib was Kulaib ibn Rabi'ah, a man so powerful that he is often considered the first king of the Arabs. Kulaib was brave, but his arrogance knew no bounds. Such was his dominance that once he chose a grazing land, no one else dared to let their animals graze there. People used to say, "No one dares light a fire near Kulaib's fire." On the other side was Jassas, the leader of Banu Bakr, Kulaib's brother-in-law and close friend. The two tribes were bound by blood, marriage, and affection, yet beneath the surface, the spark of rivalry and pride lay hidden. The catastrophe began when Jassas's aunt, according to some narrations, a guest woman named Basus arrived with her camel named Sarab. One day, the camel accidentally wandered into Kulaib's protected grazing land. When Kulaib saw an unfamiliar animal on his territory, his royal arrogance flared. Without asking whose camel it was, he drew his bow and shot an arrow into the camel's udder. Bleeding and crying in pain, the wounded camel staggered back to Basus's tent. When Basus saw her injured camel, chaos erupted. She tore the veil from her head and cried out, "Wadala wajih ribeta! Oh my humiliation! Oh my helplessness!" She called out to Jassas, saying, "Is this what happens to someone under your protection? Is this your leadership?" For Jassas, this taunt was deadlier than a poisoned arrow. His blood boiled. Among the Arabs, protecting someone who seeks refuge was more sacred than life itself. He swore an oath. "O Basus, be at ease. In return for this camel, I will sacrifice that camel beneath whose feet all of Arabia trembles." He was referring to Kulaib. Consumed by rage, Jassas went to confront Kulaib, who was alone at the time. Harsh words were exchanged, and then the unthinkable happened. Jassas drove his spear into Kulaib's chest. The king of Arabia, the man whose name echoed across the desert, lay writhing on the sand. As Kulaib lay dying, he asked for water, but blinded by vengeance, Jassas refused. With Kulaib's death, peace in Arabia died as well. When the news reached Kulaib's brother Muhalhil, also known as Alzir, something within him shattered. Muhalhil, once lost in luxury, wine, and pleasure, transformed completely. He swore that perfume, wine, and women were now forbidden to him. He declared that the word peace had been erased from his dictionary. He uttered the legendary words, remembered to this day. Even the price of Kulaib's sandal strap cannot be paid by the entire tribe of Bakr. Then the war began. A war that emptied mothers, wombs, and orphaned children. Muhalhil slaughtered the people of Banu Bakr like a madman. After every kill, he would shout, "This is repayment for Kulaib's sandal strap." Banu Bakr begged for peace. They offered blood money. They offered their leaders, but Muhalhil's eyes burned with blood. He repeated only one sentence: "Bring Kulaib back to life, then there will be peace." Years passed. The war continued. Children born at the start of the war grew up only to be killed on the battlefield. Eventually, both tribes were completely exhausted. Banu Taglib slaughtered Banu Bakr so mercilessly that it seemed the tribe would be erased from existence. The turning point came when Harith ibn Abd, a leader of Banu Bakr who had stayed neutral until then, lost his son at the hands of Muhalhil. The old lion donned his armor and swore to annihilate Banu Taglib. The tide of war turned. For 40 years, an entire 40 years, swords continued to strike. Finally, when nothing remained, no youth, no wealth, no strength, the war ended not by victory but by exhaustion. And what was the result? Nothing. only graveyards were filled, and settlements were left deserted. Lesson of the War of Basus. The War of Basus teaches us that when ego overpowers reason, humans turn into beasts. The wound on a camel could have healed, but the wound of hatred carved into the hearts of these tribes destroyed generations. This bloody chapter of history shows us that the fire of revenge burns the one who lights it first. A moment to reflect. Even today, are we not destroying generations over small issues, personal pride and family disputes? History is not meant only to be read, it is meant to be learned from. If you found this historical story meaningful, share it, so others may understand that wars of ego always end in destruction.